What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. The TeamBuilder site for College Football 27 is under maintenance, preparing for launch, but that doesn't mean that we can't start planning our TeamBuilder dynasties right now. Now, a TeamBuilder save isn't just about picking a random logo and throwing your team into Dynasty. You gotta have an identity for your team. Where do they recruit? Who are they? What conference do they belong in? And what makes that school unique to any other school? So today, I'm just gonna toss out a few ideas for you, maybe some original fictional schools, some already established fictional schools, some potential FBS call-ups, and then some schools that may have had football before and discontinued it, or they have other sports programs that are good, they just don't have football yet. So let's dive into it, let's talk about it. Hopefully we can inspire you, give you an idea for your TeamBuilder dynasty in College Football 27. All right, here we go. We're going to start off really with some just concepts, base concepts, to give you an idea of what could be a good idea for a good fictional school that you make up and take into TeamBuilder. First, we're going to call this one Gulf Coast Tech. And of course, you can name it whatever you want, but the idea is get you a team in the Gulf Coast, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, throw them in the American Conference, the Sun Belt, or the CUSA, and start recruiting all of those speedy athletes around you. Now, of course, Alabama, Auburn, Florida, LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, etc. They're going to get all of the big recruits, but you're going to be the team that takes all of those players that were overlooked by those big schools. They've got the speed, they've got the athleticism. It's just up to you to coach them and get them in a good system and start building yourself up and kind of taking over, becoming the big time mid-major in that area. And who knows, maybe one day you find yourself in the SEC as well. Next up, we're going to call this one the Las Vegas University Empire. Let's call it that. And again, these are just concepts, but the idea behind this one is maybe you're a new school, but you're in a big, flashy city. You've got tons of NIL. You're flush with cash, so you're going to pay all of the big-time transfers, all of the top recruits. You are all about introducing yourself and making a statement quick. So this kind of save is perfect for somebody who doesn't want the humble rebuild and wants to come in and dominate with a new school immediately. And then the last one for this section, we're going to call it Chicago State. Now, you could use it pretty much anywhere. The idea, though, find yourself a big city that doesn't have a ton of college football relevance. Waken that sleeping giant and give them an FBS football identity. Cold weather games, urban recruiting, a huge media market, and trying to build tradition from nothing. You can recruit big, tough, gritty guys, make your identity something hard-nosed. Maybe start off in the MAC or something similar, work yourself up to the Big Ten. And what separates this from the Gulf Coast Tech thing earlier, the Gulf Coast Tech was all about being in a recruiting hotbed. This is all about building your brand, being in a big market, and establishing your identity and making your mark in the college football world. All right, moving on to our next section. These are the already established fictional schools, and let's be honest, it doesn't get any crazier than Blue Mountain State, a cult classic during the 2000s. And this right here is your Chaos Dynasty. It's the party school. Big personalities, offensive firepower, people with character concerns. Heck, you can even go ahead and create Thad Castle and build your whole dynasty around him. Throw him in the Mountain West, throw him in the American Athletic Conference. Heck, you can even stay independent and see if you can turn this chaos, joke, party school into a national power. Next up, for already established fictional schools, we've got Eastern State University, the Timberwolves. If you're a little bit older like I am, you remember The Program, one of the best football movies of all time. And this is one where you're going to start probably with a roster that's already built up. I mean, this is a serious football program with serious expectations. Go ahead and toss yourself in the ACC, Big 12, Big 10, SEC, one of those big conferences, and put yourself up against the pressure cooker. This is immediate expectations, but immediate resources to compete. And finally, for our established fictional schools, we've got the SCLSU Mud Dogs. Yes, South Central Louisiana State University, home of the water boy, Bobby Boucher. Louisiana recruiting, a swamp stadium, underdog energy, kind of weird uniforms, a rabid fan base. Throw yourself in the Sun Belt or CUSA. Maybe create Bobby Boucher at linebacker and let him lead your defense and turn this joke of a program into a Louisiana football powerhouse. All right, moving on to our next section, we're going to be talking about potential call-ups from lower divisions. We've seen it a lot lately with Kennesaw State, Missouri State, now North Dakota State, Sacramento State. But let's talk about some other teams that could potentially come up, starting off with the Grizz, Montana Grizzlies. Come on, man. One of the most dominant FCS teams in recent memory. They were a founding member of the Big Sky Conference back in 1963. Had a streak of 25 consecutive winning seasons from 86 to 2011. And as you can see, since 2019, under Coach Bobby Houck, they've made the playoffs every year, quarterfinals, second round, championship, second round, and semifinals. They've got a established culture of winning. Plus, there's no college football in Montana, at least not in the FBS, so go ahead, throw them in the Mountain West, start competing today. All right, moving on to our second team for a potential call-up from a lower division. Let's talk about Tarleton State, the Texans. Not quite as established as some of these other programs like North Dakota State or Montana, like we just mentioned. But they've had some progression throughout the years, started out in the NAIA, moved up to Division II, did really well, made the playoffs many years, and then moved up to FCS. And in the past 2 years, they have made the playoffs and made it to the quarterfinals last year before losing to Villanova. But what makes this one so interesting is that they're in Texas, and there's already 11 bajillion programs in Texas in the FBS. So earlier with our Gulf Coast Tech idea, we talked about getting the scraps from all those SEC schools. I mean, here you're going to be getting the scraps from the likes of UTEP and UTSA, but Texas has so many great recruits, so many athletes to choose from. Can you take those scraps, move up from the FCS to the FBS, and establish yourself as another team in Texas that people have to fear? And then finally, why do we have to go to FCS to call somebody up? Why can't we go down to Division II and look at the Ferris State Bulldogs? Located in Big Rapids, Michigan, they would be the third team to be competing in the FCS in Michigan, of course behind Michigan and Michigan State. But let's look at their recent dominance. National championships won in 2021, 2022, 2024, and 2025. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This one is going to be tough. You're going to be competing against the Michigans, the Ohio States. But you get you some cold weather, Midwest athletes, a couple of snow games, and throw yourself in the MAC, get yourself a little bit of MACtion going, and hey, maybe one day you find yourself in the Big Ten. All right, moving on from that section to our last section, we're going to be talking about schools where you could potentially revive a football program, or they've got established sports otherwise that they're really good at, but they've just never fielded a football program. We're going to start off with Wichita State. Constantly Cinderellas in March Madness, in the basketball tournament, but where is their football program? Gone since 1986. And as you can see, they've thought about bringing the program back a few times. 92, 97, 98, 2006, 2012, 2017. They moved to the American Athletic Conference, and they are the only member of the conference without a football program. So that makes it perfect. Throw yourself in the AAC. You're in Kansas, so tap into that Midwest pipeline. Tap into that JUCO pipeline, always good JUCOs around that area in Middle America, and see if you can build yourself up, bring back the Wichita State Shockers program. All right, moving on to our next revival concept. It is the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Panthers, or just the Milwaukee Panthers football program. UWM, again, established as a solid basketball team. They've put a couple of baseball players into the pros. I know Dalton Varsho went to Milwaukee. And right now, with whatever Luke Fickell has got going on over in Madison, what a perfect time for another program to rise up in Wisconsin and try and become dominant. You can start yourself up in the MAC, maybe build yourself up to join the American Conference, and one day maybe even the Big Ten. Recruit yourself some hard-nosed offensive linemen that don't wear sleeves in the snow. Build your identity and take on Wisconsin. See if you can become the dominant program in that state. And last but not least, let's talk about one of the most established basketball brands that does not have a football program. It's the Gonzaga Bulldogs. Just in my lifetime, Gonzaga's had stars on the basketball court like John Stockton, Domantas Sabonis, Jalen Suggs, Adam Morrison, Kelly Olynyk. but they just don't have a football team. And this is a little bit different than the other programs we've been talking about. They'll be on the West Coast. You'll be up there with Oregon. You'll be over there with the California teams. You'll be in the Pacific Northwest. And what kind of makes it unique is, I mean, you could start in the Mountain West and compete with them, or you could go in and you could join the Pac-12 as the third school, start building yourself up, start bringing some prestige back to the Pac-12, and lead yourself to a little bit of a Pac-12 revival. And for me, if I was starting the Gonzaga program, just keeping in mind, you know, in the area that we're in with Oregon and USC, I feel like my identity would be coming up with a unique offense that competes with the Oregon offense or the Lincoln Riley air raid at USC or what they've got going on at UCLA. I would want something unique, maybe an air raid or like the go-go offense or the Rice triple option. Establish something unique and new to you. And build your niche in the Pacific Northwest and bring Gonzaga into relevance in another sport. So, like we said at the beginning, having the best team builder school isn't just about having the best logo, it's about the story you want to tell. Whether it's recruiting out of a hotbed, being the villain NIL school, being a pop culture joke turned into a powerhouse, an FCS call-up, a dead program back to life, or a basketball school trying to become a football school. It's all up to you. So go ahead in the comments below, drop me your best idea for a team builder team because I know I missed some. And hey, maybe once Team Builder is live, we'll build one or two of these, run a couple years of Dynasty, and test them out. So let me know what you think down below. As always, you are super appreciated. We will see you next time. Peace out.